Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have figured the wrong, grab us.
Yeah, my name is Jacinti Caldata from Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Right across Guyana, when the ministers of Granger or Nagamutu come here after the 21st of March, you say to them, walk behind them, chase them out, they're going to be illegal.
Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He's a friend of them? Su is a friend of them. I wonder what's going on now with Su. I wonder if Marco Rubio knows that Su paid Jack Dale lots and lots of monies. That's according to Vice News. That's according to Su and all these things. And what these people are doing is just allowing Guyana to fall flat on its face. That's all. Jack Dale or Irfan, they're not patriotic. They're absolutely nothing. They're just basically selling Guyana out, selling everything out, every single thing. So guess what? They're jumping all over the place to save themselves. And did you see Irfan Ali sucking up and kissing up? Well, they seem to be good at that. Sucking up, kissing up to Marco Rubio? Oh, Marco Rubio is playing those vagabonds. And mind you, I heard Marco Rubio spoke about in describing, and rightly so, that lunatic in Venezuela, dictator. But Guyana, he was standing right next to a mini dictator. And Jack there, we shook hands with another dictator. So Marco Rubio has got to be careful with those dictators. I've got to be careful with those dictator, right? English language, sorry about that. How are you guys doing tonight? Lots and lots of things to talk about. They're fighting Mati. They got beat up Mati. It's just a matter of time before they start. Oops, Clint Eastwood. I watched a lot of Clint Eastwood movies, and I'm going to tell you guys this. It's no longer lights, camera, action, and not low tap on the head like that lunatic from Barbies, that thug, that PPP thug from Barbies. Y'all know it's who, right? That's skinny. Oops, I shouldn't be calling people skinny. PPP thug. Oh, yeah. You know, some people, like when they come on Facebook, for me, it's just natural. You can tell, right? It's just natural. Some of them, when they come, this is what they do. All sort of filter. Now, they no filter photograph, right? Some of these, they get some guys too, you know, they do a lot of filter. Some guys do a lot of filtering. But look at this PPP thug. She is the one that we saw on video. A big strapping black man, right? You know how they like to make it look as though somebody beat them, somebody harassed them. But we saw the evidence. This little skinny child. How many of you guys know that what that means? Child. This child little orangutan who is causing havoc out there on Barbies. Now with the allegation, as some people say allegedly, right? Corruption upon corruption with contracts and all manner of things. But yet they can't find enough makeup to put on. Makeup. No, I'm not Leslie Hamilton. I never said Chihuahua. We all know what Chihuahua is. But this thing here, this Katahar, this is a child. And look how they look, and they come on social media and they put a setup. What is it? Not even makeup, the filter. The filter. And then look how she look like worse than a granny. No filter. And then she wants to put her hand on a 7-foot black man, right? Oh, sorry, I have to. And that guy just lost it. She walked up because she feels as though she's powerful. She can slap anybody. And look, I don't like violence, right? But she slapped the man. Okay, maybe the guy should have jumped on a horse or jump on a bicycle and ride away, right? Because he shouldn't hit her back, right? Right? How many of you guys, I'm not sure if some of y'all know what I'm talking about, but how many of you guys, because this Choraili, this Katahar, this Korhi, this PPP thug, so much so that even of all person, the thug of all thugs, Jagdale condemned his own thug. Jagdale is a thug. Jagdale said this thug, right? This thug, this PPP thug, all she's saying, I'm fighting for my party. I'm fighting for my party. Is that what she said? I'm fighting for my party. My party. I'm fighting for my party. Right? I'm fighting for my money. Just imagine these thugs. I'm fighting for my party. My party. Well, she doesn't have teeth in her mouth, so God in heaven knows what she's fighting for. She's fighting for her party. Well, good night to all of you. My name is Mark Bencham. Welcome to Straight Up. We have lots and lots of things to talk about. Can the operator get this child? Up to now, nobody can tell me what's the meaning of child. But this is a perfect example of trial. And then they're going to run and say, what is it? ERC. They're going to say, what is it? Cyberbullying. You're gone out there, you're protesting for your party, right? And you're beating up people. And then they're going to jump and say, oh, cyberbullying. She can't even pronounce cyberbullying with them note. I never knew she had no teeth. Oh my gosh. Oh, this one more people. But sorry about that, guys. This is a serious show. My name is Mark Benshaw. Welcome to Straight Up. If you're now joining us, guess who is going to be back with us tonight? When my executive producer, yes, we do have an executive producer. Sorry, we sound like Trump there for a moment. The executive producer said that Tom Anderson is going to be back with us tonight. Yes, Tom is going to be back with us tonight. We have lots and lots of things to talk about. We may be talking in Chinese, Mandarin, or something. Ni hao ma, ni hao, kum ting pai lo, to right? So call your Chinese friends, call everybody, let them know that we are here and we will be talking about the party. Right? The party. All righty. But before we get Tom Anderson on with us tonight, can we just sing a little song and we all get along? Because Anil Nandalal is singing. He is singing and he's selling out people who used to be close to them. The PPP, they must sing. Oh, yeah. Let's get into the song. What exactly is Anil singing? And he's singing a lot to the West. He's singing for the supper, the PPP. They're singing and they're selling out. Let's get down to that song that Anil is singing.
We're going to put Mr. Nandalal on the spot, right? Because we know there is one thing we proper love. And this thing named roti, right? What kind of roti is it? Paratha. Paratha. Anybody like that roti? Really? How about aloo roti?
Very good.
So here, when we done aloo roti, sada roti, aloo roti, klavan roti, paratha roti, guess what happened this one?
What?
You ever hear what sugar roti?
Yes.
That's the thing, sugar. You gotta make our from sugar, right?
Right.
So, I'm going to get a piece of the roti.
Yes, very good.
Alright, make a start and you take them over. 1, 2, 3. Mommy dele roti.
Daddy Chunkida.
Hey, mommy dele roti.
Daddy Chunkida.
Hey, mommy dele roti. Daddy
Chunkida. Didi te come out the body eat out. Mommy dele roti. Daddy Chunkida. Mommy dele roti. Daddy Chunkida.
Give me this piece, right? Chorus in the sea, tambourine on the tree. Chorus in the sea, tambourine on the tree. One day they gon' meet up in the same Karahi.
Mommy dele roti, daddy chunkida. Mommy dele roti, daddy chunkida.
Dal. Mommy bele roti, daddy chunky dal. Did anybody eat out all? Right? Tom, sorry about that, man. Not all Guyanese are like me, right? But Anil Nandalal is singing a lot. Mommy bele roti, daddy chunky dal. And then they send to the DOJ and for evidence to the Mohammeds, and the DOJ give them all. Kind of like that song, Mommy bele roti, daddy chunky dal. So they installed PPP regime, sent for information at the DOJ, and the DOJ, according to Anil Nandalal, gave them all. Tom Anderson, good night and welcome to Straight Up. How are you doing, sir? Lots and lots happening in Guyana, right?
Hey, good night, everyone. Hey, everything's going on, man. Like, we've been talking about this for a while now, where Guyana would sit on the top of the world stage in discussions, and it's happening. So, yes, I'm back on because Guyana's in the news, along with a new partnership with the United States. And yeah, so tonight's a big night.
It's a big night indeed. A huge night. And the Chinese aren't happy at all. And since the Chinese aren't happy, I'm wondering whether they are going to expose Jack Dale's allegation, mind you, that he has a bank account in China with billions of dollars. Now they're pissed the Chinese off. But before we get to that, Tom, I want you to take a listen to this, sir, and our listeners as well. Take a listen to this. Back to Anil.
Through that exchange, the law enforcement agencies in Guyana, along with the Guyana Revenue Authority, have expressed the opinion that they have sufficient volume of evidence, information, data, documents, whatever you wish to call it, to proceed to act upon it. GRA, I suppose, will act upon the allegations of tax evasion. The the Guyana Police Force, through its appropriate departments, will act upon other aspects of the data or evidence which they feel presents an opportunity to activate certain processes. So that will take place shortly.
Just for clarity, sir, you're saying that the government of Guyana received the information from the U.S. authorities on the reason behind the U.S. sanctions, and could we expect criminal charges based on what you...
No, I didn't say all of that. I said that there have been a process ongoing for several months now, and we have made that public. And that process have thus far yielded a sufficient volume of information that the tax authorities feel and the law enforcement agencies in Guyana feel provide sufficient basis for them to begin their statutory processes.
That's
let me
for
put it
law
that
enforcement, you say, right?
Law enforcement as well as tax authorities.
Tax authorities. Yes. For the sanctions by the U.S., former Permanent Secretary May Thomas was also sanctioned. Would those law enforcement actions also fall in going after her?
I cannot speak for the law enforcement agencies nor the Guyana Revenue Authority, but I have no doubt that their approach will be one that would be objective and would be evidence-driven. I have no reason to think otherwise.
And you had written to the Department of Justice, asking for some information. Has the DOJ replied to you?
The DOJ has responded, and that's what I'm saying. We have received a large volume of information. The process is still ongoing.
So you have to get more information.
We are supplying information, and they are supplying information. It's a fluid process, but we did make a commitment as a government since last year that actions would be taken by the relevant...
All right, Tom Anderson, you've listened to that, quite a mouthful. What's happening there? Now suddenly, all of this, they want to take action, and that is against the sanctioned folks, the Mohammeds them. What's happening there based on what you've heard, sir?
Well, it sounds pretty much, there are a few things that he said that everyone should pay attention to. And also one thing that he didn't say, that's sort of the dog that didn't bark. There's a story where something happened, somebody got robbed at night, and when the police came to investigate, they saw that a dog lived in the house, and they asked all the witnesses, did you guys hear a dog bark? And everyone said no, but the dog was sitting right there. So that's how they knew. It had to have been someone that the dog knew that robbed the house, right? So in this case, he's talking a lot, and he gave a lot of information on the Mohammeds, but there's something that he never said. He never called what was the information that they have as evidence. If you notice, he took great lengths to not use the word evidence. He kept saying they've gotten information and they're using information, but he didn't say evidence. So I wonder if this isn't something where this might be some type of fine. It doesn't sound like it's that serious. So I would say that first of all, right? Secondly, he almost ran away after the question on May Thomas. Like he was about to bounce like real fast. So after he answered that one question, he almost ran off. So that tells you he's very uncomfortable with the May Thomas situation, right? And so what is this all about really overall? From my perspective, looking at this for a long time, right? And seeing how things have gone there. it's saying to me that they're trying to be very careful within the PPP to try to show their new partner, us, the Americans, that they've turned a new leaf, that they're no longer doing the corruption stuff. And the proof of it is they're going to throw the Mohammeds under the bus. That's what it looks like. Okay. And they're trying to do it in a way so that not too many other people get taken down within the PPP, because the true history is that the Mohammeds have always been very big supporters of the PPP. So any crimes that they so-called committed or anything that they're being investigated for, they're being investigated for it while being members and supporters of the PPP. So this is something that's going on within their own party. It's within the ruling party of the country. And so they're trying to be very tactful. They're trying to be very precise. He's watching every word he's saying because they're hoping to deal with this in a way so that maybe the Mohammeds don't get hurt too bad, but that the new partners, the Americans, look at it and they see that, oh, these guys are taking care of one of their own. So that must mean that they've really turned a new leaf. And that gives them more breathing room to be able to do the things they've always done, which are to corrupt things. And so that's what it looks like to me, if you ask me, looking at that little press conference he had.
And well said, Tom. They want to hurt the Mohammeds, and they're all friends, but they don't want the Mohammeds to be hurt badly. Maybe Irfan doesn't want the Mohammeds to be hurt badly, but Jagdeo wants to go right after them, fully strip them naked, so to speak. But they're playing some sort of a game. You are correct. When the reporter specifically asked about May Thomas, Anil Nandalal was uncomfortable because he knows that if law enforcement agencies in Guyana, if they go after Azruddin Mohammed and his father, then they will have to go after May Thomas. And if they go after May Thomas, at some point in time, they may have to go after Robeson Ben, who happens to be, he was May Thomas's boss. So you are correct. They are playing a game. But do you think, though, Mr. Anderson, that Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, is aware of the games the PPP is playing for survival?
Well, he is, because of your show. I mean, I've been coming on now for a while, and, it may not seem like it because I'm not a famous person, but certain people do watch the work that I do, and they do pay attention. And so, yes, people are discovering now. Okay. It just so happens, and I kind of fell into this. It just so happened that the work I did over a decade ago with corruption in New York City led to money that came out of Guyana. And that connected me to the nation since then. And I've just been involved in all this. And so, yes, people have paid attention. People know. People in the media know. People are talking about it. So when I do speak from an American perspective, I'm speaking from a perspective of one of the people in America that knows I know a lot more than most. Okay. So with that said, they have paid attention. I think Rubio knows. I think they see this show. I think they watch what I'm saying right now. And they know, okay, this is more complicated than these guys want to make it out to be, which it is. And my whole point that I've been saying from the beginning is I don't condemn the PPP and say that they can never have leadership in a country. That's not my perspective. My perspective is they are the best people to fix the system, because they are the guys who, from my perspective, in the modern day infrastructure, have set up and designed most of the corrupt nature of what's going on within the government in the country. And so they're the ones who know the most, because they're the ones who made it, and they need to be the ones who clean it up. My worry is, and that's why I come on the show, is to say, hey, look, this stuff looks good on paper, but it's not enough, because everyone knows there's no way that May Thomas could be doing these deals with the Mohammeds without there being more officials within the PPP on board, people higher up. Right. And so how far does this go? Are they really investigating everyone? I don't think they are. OK. And this little press conference by this guy, Nandalal, I think it shows that they're not really going that deep. They're trying to do just enough, and it's not enough. And so that's why I'm here to talk about it. And that's why your show is on. And so I think we do a great service in our roles and what we've been doing here, because this is complicated. And if they're allowed to just skate and they're allowed to move on as if, business as usual without really making changes to the system, it would be a travesty for everyone, including us.
And thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it for pointing that out, that it's been years. But they cannot disassociate themselves from the Mohammeds, regardless of what, with all of the contracts, with all of the gun licenses for security firms, with paying police salaries. Irfan Ali and Jagdeep cannot disassociate themselves at all from the Mohammeds. And what I want the Mohammeds them to start speaking about is the 2020 elections and the corruption in the elections by the PPP regime. Tom, going back to you again. Don't you think, though, sir, that it is obvious that Marco Rubio knows that these folks are vagabonds, but yet he wants to work along with them and play along the game? Is that what is happening here?
Yeah, well, they've done a good job, the PPP, in playing the game at Washington D.C. That's how I came across what they're doing, because they were getting bribes to very powerful members of our United States Congress, House of Representatives. And not only were they able to get the bribes, but they were also able to get away with it. No one got in trouble for it. So these guys figured out a way long ago, back in the 2000s, of how to get a sort of a back door into our system here in the United States. And so they've been using that ever since, I believe. And so that gives them sort of it gives them this idea that they can do just enough and not have to totally change and get by. And that's possible, right? But with people like me and your show and others, I don't think it's possible. And that's why they go after people like Melly Mel. That's why they're doing their best to try to get rid of the Mohammeds and at the same time get rid of some major critics. Because if they can get rid of the critics with the Mohammeds at the same time, then no one will be able to say anything, right? And they can just skate as if nothing happened in the past. That's sort of their goal. And they're going to try to use their connections, the backdoor connections they have in the U.S. government, to get away with it, I believe. But I don't think that's going to happen, because there's too much at stake. You've got crazy guy next door in Maduro. This is on the world stage. These types of games can be played when the country is a third world state, when it's developing, at a low level. But at the point that it's at now, this type of stuff isn't going to fly. They're going to really have to change. Okay. And so I think it's our duty as members in the media sort of field. It's our duty to help the people of Guyana and the people outside, all supporters around, to inform everyone on what's really going on, so that way people can organize and get behind real change within the system that can make it so that Guyana is finally in a place where everyone takes part in the wealth of the country, while protecting something that is a jewel in the world right now, with the Amazon and everything on the inside the interior.
All right. It seems as though those corrupt vagabonds in the PPP, Jagdeo, Irfan, and those guys, they were quiet like a church mouse under the Biden administration, but they seem to be crawling out now and bold. They must have been promised something. I don't know what it is, but Tom, we'll get back to that shortly. But whatever, I noticed a comment from someone who said, well, the Mohammeds know about a lot of the assassinations in Guyana. And if they have all of that information, well, it's about time they start talking. I'm not interested to talk to them about anything else other than the corruption, other than murders, assassinations, and the rigging of elections. That is exactly what I'm interested in. So, Azruddin, if you want to talk, feel free. But I'm just going to talk about the corruption in elections, assassinations, and murders. That's all, under the PPP regime. Now, I want you to take a listen to this here, Tom, and our listeners as well. Take a listen to Marco. As soon as Marco left Guyana, this is what Marco Rubio. This is what Marco Rubio had to say, and this was as soon as sorry about that. So Marco Rubio had this to say, but we're just if we take a quick minute to find out where exactly this is, so we can play this for you guys, then you'll get a chance to hear exactly what Marco Rubio said. But we're just not getting that at this point in time. So sorry about that, our listeners. We just got to get back to that tape. But Marco Rubio was actually cussing Guyana, so to speak. You know how we say it in Guyana, everything is a cuss. And Marco Rubio was talking about the roads, that the roads and Chinese roads and Chinese labor and all manner of things. And that's exactly what he was talking about. So now let's talk about this here, Tom. We'll get back to that tape later. But let's talk about this and the Chinese. Is it that and the Chinese, guys? Okay, this is about the Mohammeds. We'll just probably talk about them later on. But according to the PPP, sufficient evidence received for GRA police to take action against the Mohammeds. What sort of action? We don't know. But according to information, the Mohammeds have been indicted. The Mohammeds have been indicted and have been indicted for serious crimes. And if Anil and others in the PPP regime, if they want to reveal those charges against the Mohammed, according to information, then since Anil knows so much, maybe sometime soon he will reveal that. But let us get to the part of the Chinese now. Are you surprised now that the Chinese are upset? This is on the Chinese Facebook page, Chinese embassy in Guyana. China has always, and this is what they're saying, that they have always put China-Guyana friendship first. We honor our commitment with concrete actions. As a matter of fact, China has participated fully at the biggest economic and social transformation in the history of Guyana. Facts and figures speak louder than anything else. And they showed what they participated in, and so forth and so on. Some of them are failed projects anyways. Your take on this whole thing now with the Chinese blow up and the Chinese getting upset that Jack David gone in bed with another man?
Well, this just goes to show what I was saying yesterday about what the Rubio staff should be expecting when it comes to dealing with the PPP, is that, the negotiations with those guys don't start until after you've signed the deal. Okay, most people think, oh, you're supposed to negotiate and then you come to an agreement and then you sign the deal and then that's it. You live by that deal that you signed. That's not how these guys work. They will sign the deal with you, and after that, that's when they really start to negotiate with you. That's when they really start to do things to the contract to try to make it null and void. I mean, this is how these guys operate. And so the Chinese are now feeling that, okay? They came in and they flooded the zone with all kinds of money. They got all kinds of access to natural resources with the timber and stuff. I remember when I was looking at Sue and how much, timber he got. On his site, he had all these Chinese doctors that were in the forest and the jungles, giving people medical treatment out there. And so the Chinese, they feel like, while the United States was ignoring the area, which we were, the Chinese were there giving all this stuff, and they made it so that the PPP could be in power. A lot of the reason why the PPP can even brag about infrastructure happening is because the Chinese got it done. Okay, whatever, if there is some good stuff, they got it done. Okay, and so now the PPP has turned on the Chinese. Okay, and now they're partnered up with the Americans. But mark my words, the way these guys operate, and the Rubio people should know this, okay, is as soon as Maduro is no longer a threat, they're going to welcome China back in. Okay, that's what they're going to do. The only reason why they're partnered with us now is because you've got that monster Maduro next door and he's threatening. As soon as he's no longer a threat, the PPP will be back in bed with China and it will be back to business as usual. That's just how they roll. That's what they're going to do. And so that's why we have to be aware as Americans and know that, don't just totally trust these guys. Don't just go out there and when they put someone like Melissa Atwell on a list and say, hey, she's connected to the crimes of the Mohammeds. So we need you to get her and bring her down here. Don't trust those guys. Don't send her down, because Miss Atwell may be better used here in the United States. She may be better off here helping us understand some of the ins and outs of what happens within the PPP. Okay. So we have to know from our own perspective that we need to see these guys for what they are, and we need to not trust them. We need to constantly be verifying everything all the time and be prepared for them to stab us in the back the way they're stabbing the Chinese in the back right now.
Something that Marco Rubio said today, and which probably I saw the smile on Irfan's face when he said that there's development and it would be through the same leadership for 5 and 10. I thought that that was meddling in the internal affairs of Guyana. I'm not sure if you heard that. But what sort of game really Marco Rubio is playing, knowing that he's dealing with lunatic fringes there, Jack Dale, Irfan, and those guys are possibly the most corrupt, or part of a set of corrupt individuals, officials in the world. You think Marco Rubio did his homework, or he's just basically there to protect the American interest?
Well, look, there are a lot of crooks in the world. And so from Rubio's perspective, the PPP are in a group of the crook group, and there's a bunch of them there. So he's probably seen so many of them now as a senator and everything else. And he's seen them in our own country. So he's seen them in Cuba. And so he's seen them all over the place. So, I'm sure this is, typical bad guy stuff when he's dealing with the PPP. But with that said, he also has to play a role. And he has to, play the role of, hey, we're going to support the PPP as a government. That's the role Rubio's been asked to play. That's what he's been asked to do, and that's what he's doing. So our government, from the State Department side of things, is going to be pushing an agenda of us supporting the PPP. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, which is not normal. Normally, we try to stay out of politics, but it looks like that's what he's going to do, just looking at his press conference today. But with that said, I wouldn't take that on face value. I believe that's part of the role he's playing. I think at the end of the day, the realities on the ground will direct how things go politically within Guyana. That's what's important for everybody to understand. It's not really what Marco Rubio says. He's playing a role. What matters is what's happening on the ground. Politics is local. It doesn't matter what country that's in. It's the same thing in Guyana. So that's what's important. People shouldn't get upset going forward if Rubio says things that makes it seem like the American government is siding with one party over the other. That's the role he plays. I think you should ignore it. I think everyone should pay attention to what's going on the ground, because at the end of the day, our government will support whoever is in charge in Guyana. So if the PNC, if the opposition wins, then our government and Rubio will be right there in Georgetown, shaking hands with them, signing agreements with them too. So it doesn't really matter what's going to be said going forward. This is about trying to secure political connections with the nation of Guyana. And that means when dealing with the PPP that they have to sound like they're siding with them, and that's fine. But I don't think that's the reality.
Well said, Tom. I don't think that's the reality too. It's just politics, and Marco Rubio is a seasoned politician and a trained lawyer as well. When he scanned the room, at one point, Irfan Ali said something that we are friends now, that we are friends. We should be able to bend over backwards a little bit for our friends. Marco Rubio body language was kind of like, it wasn't acceptable. He was like, what the heck is Irfan saying? He didn't smile. He just had a serious expression. I'm not even sure whether you heard that or not. But why would Irfan Ali say such a thing to expose himself and his weaknesses? I'm not sure if you heard that, but what came out of today's press conference, Tom?
I think the main thing that came out was that, China's been totally stabbed in the back. Okay. That's what came out today. And, it looks like Nandalal has a lot of work on his hands, because it seems like the PPP have made him the point man on whatever happens to the Mohammeds. That's what seems to have been shaken out of this. And then on top of that, it looks like Rubio is sort of siding with the PPP, at least publicly, for whatever deals that they have cut, right? So that's what came out of the press conference today, I think. And I think China's going to be really, really upset, which, you know, that gets in on the on the Sharif Ahmad companies. so that's a whole other thing, okay?
Talk to us a little bit about the Sharif Ahmad company and Chinese connections and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
What are we hearing?
So they're the Sharif, so the Ahmads, you know, Sharif Ahmad specifically, his companies, they're connected with some of the biggest construction firms in China. Okay, and these firms, one of them is the biggest developer on the Belt and Road Initiative in places around the world. So they're supposed to be building some huge new skyscraper with these two huge Chinese corporations as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. so these guys have this today. What happened today really hurts Sharif and his companies, I believe, because you know it's going to be a lot harder for China to build skyscrapers like that with Sharif Ahmad and his companies and what they're doing with our new agreement that we have, the United States with the government of Guyana.
Lots and lots of things, and then Sue is also still doing business, lots and lots of business in Guyana. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out, because what we do know is that Jagdeo and Irfan, they are basically they are playing a game with the Americans, and I hope U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio knows that. I mean, he can check the files. He would see that Jagdeo has a large bank account, billions of dollars in China, according to information. Billions of US dollars in a Chinese bank account. And speaking of snakes, it's coincidental that this year's Chinese New Year, not so long ago, a few weeks ago, Irfan Ali was one of the speakers, and this is what Irfan said in terms of the PPP's relationship with China.
People of the People's Republic of China. On behalf of the government and people of Guyana, I extend warmest wishes to you all on the joyous occasion of the Chinese Lunar New Year and Spring Festival 2025. This year, we celebrate the Year of the Snake.
This year, the Chinese celebrate the Year of the Snake, right? It demonstrated just that today, the Year of the Snake. And today, this afternoon, about 4 or 5 hours ago, the Chinese issued a statement on their website, their Facebook page, that they're upset with what transpired today. In other words, they're upset with the PPP regime. They're upset with Irfan. They're upset with Jagdeo. And if they're so upset, I need the Chinese, some of those agents in Guyana, maybe they can inbox you, or if they feel comfortable, inbox, give us some information that they have on the PPP, the corrupt PPP regime. But let's continue here, please.
Of wisdom, resilience, and transformation. The snake's graceful movements and its ability to shed its skin remind us of the importance of renewal and adaptability, qualities that are vital in navigating the ever-changing global economic landscape. The Year of the Snake also encourages us to harness intelligence and insight to foster economic growth, strengthen social bonds, and achieve sustainable development for our peoples. China's remarkable achievements over the years continue to serve as an inspiration to the global community. As we embark on this new year, we look forward to deepening the bonds of friendship and collaboration between our two nations. The Chinese presence in Guyana can be traced back more than 170 years, when Chinese nationals came to work in the colony of British Guyana. The Chinese community has made an irreplaceable contribution to Guyana's development. New waves of Chinese immigrants continue this tradition. The partnership between Guyana and China continues to yield mutual benefits, spanning critical areas such as infrastructure, education, health, technology, trade, and cultural exchanges. As we reflect on these achievements, we also recognize the immense potential for further cooperation. Together, we can tackle shared challenges, seize emerging opportunities, and contribute to the collective advancement of humanity. Let us commit to expanding our collaboration in 2025, guided by the positive traits.
All right, enough of that. Enough of that snake. It's the year of the snake. Year of the snake, Tom. You're
Yeah.
smiling. It's the year of the snake.
That's perfect.
What a
That's perfect,
coincidence.
man. They had the music playing and everything. Do 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 do. That was great. I mean, he's this guy. You know, these guys. It's funny to me how, with a straight face, they can stab their Chinese partners in the back so hard, and with a straight
Year
face
of the
walk
snake,
around as
Tom.
if they've done nothing.
The
It's
year
wild.
of the snake. So said the snake, celebrating the year of the snake. What's your take on this relationship? It's not going to last too long because I am sure that the Americans already know that these folks are corrupt. They are corrupt. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I don't know, Tom, what else going through your mind in this year of the snake?
Well, this is a part of the bigger, problem in the region. So Trump has been talking about the Panama Canal. You've got the problems with Venezuela. And so if you think about it and you think about China's role in the region, if they had their way, they would block off the entire everything from the Panama Canal to Suriname. It would all be all Chinese, right? And that's sort of how they've been moving. And we've allowed that to happen in our own backyard now for a few decades. And I think we've now woken up to that and we're putting a monkey wrench into that. So this is going to be painful for the Chinese because they've put so much as far as resources and planning and time and effort into this endeavor that really, they're complaining about what's happened to them in Guyana, right? And they don't like what the PPP has done, partnering with the United States. They can't stand it. It's not fair to them, but from what they have to really think about, though, is that for them, Guyana was just one small piece and a much bigger plan they were trying to implement. Okay. And so, yeah, they did a lot for the people of Guyana over the years, and they did partner with the PPP and stuff like that over the years. Fine. But they didn't do it because Guyana is so special. They did it because Guyana is one piece in a bigger puzzle that they're trying to put the pieces together on in the region. And that whole puzzle's falling apart right now. So that's what I see happening. And I think if you look at the PPP and their movement, okay, these guys, to me, their instinct for self-preservation is apex. They're at the top of the list of the humans on Earth. These guys in the PPP are way up there when it comes to having an instinct for self-preservation. If they're jumping off the Chinese boat and they're partnering with the United States, what does that say about China, right? What does that say about the future prospects of China in the region? It says to me that the PPP, in their own instinct, they're saying that China doesn't have a future in the region. So this is going to look really, really messy if it's not handled properly. And this is why it's imperative that the people of Guyana put pressure on the government to implement a strategy and a system that allows the nation to be independent while these world powers fight it out. That's what has to happen for you guys to have your independence and for you guys to secure your wealth, is to make sure that you have a really good system so that when the Chinese and the Americans are fighting, it doesn't affect you guys in the middle.
Well, it is affecting because Jagdeo has been in bed with the Chinese. He has corrupt the entire country. I think Marco Rubio spoke about the Chinese bringing in their own workers. He seemed to be well aware of that because of the Marriott Hotel. There were 99.9% Chinese workers at that time. The PPP did that. They allowed that. They did absolutely nothing about it. But let's go to what Marco Rubio did say concerning the roads, and they have lied to him. Jagdeo and Irfan, apparently they lied to him. This is what Marco Rubio said about his visit. This was right after he left Guyana, and he said that it's just lovely to be in Guyana, and Guyana it's on the road of development, and the people are going to do good, and this leadership, all manner of crap coming from Marco Rubio. But as soon as he left Guyana, this is what he said.
job, a terrible job. I just came from Guyana where we had to drive on a road the Chinese built. You were on the trip with us?
Yeah.
Or did you have to go on this road?
Yeah.
Okay, we almost all had concussions because the plane, the road was so bad. It was terrible. They paid these people to build.
You know, he just left Guyana, stood next to that rattlesnake air finale. Oh, leadership and good hands. But as soon as he got to Suriname with Santoki, probably didn't finish just saying hukak metyo halas kot in Suriname. He started to abuse Guyana. He started to talk about the roads, and they were afraid. They were traveling, and it was shaking potholes. And that the Chinese, one of the mistakes though, because Irfan, they lied to him apparently. It's not the Chinese that built that road. And he's talking about the road on the East Bank, Demerara. I know you could Google that, Tom. That was just built by PPP cronies, not the Chinese. What's happening there? Your own buddy, Marco Rubio, is talking so about the roads and badly done and all these things. Take a bite of that, please, Tom.
Yeah, no, I mean that's Rubio, man. Rubio, that's Rubio, man. And look, he has a point, and it may have been PPP cronies that built the road, but I promise you they did it with Chinese supplies and all types of Chinese stuff. These guys have been partnered with the Chinese for, big time for a while now, going back a very long time. And China, this is sort of the kind of stuff that happens when you're partnered with China, where you end up with infrastructure. You end up with a lot of infrastructure. Not all of it's great. But then on top of that, you end up with loans that you still have to pay that, will take your nation forever to pay off, and you can never pay it off. Like that's sort of how the Chinese have been handling business as they go around the world. And there's some pushback to that. And so I saw someone say, no, the PPP are the only ones in the region who are backing away from China and partnering with the United States. That may be the case, but like I say, I believe the PPP guys have a very good sense of preservation, and they're going to get out ahead of everybody else when it comes to self-preservation because they're going to sense quicker. So I think they're some of the first ones to see that China is going to have problems in the region, and they're partnering with the United States on this because they know that the United States is serious about what we're about to do in that region. We are, and we're going to do things there. No matter who's in office, whether it's Trump or his successor, we are going to change the face of the map in the region there. And that's what our government has decided from what I can tell, and it's going to happen. And there's nothing really China can do about it. So, the PPP are the first ones, along with Argentina, to get out ahead of that. Others will join. It's going to happen because we're too big of a power. It's our backyard. And it's something that I've called for to have happen for a long time because I truly believe that Guyana, in a leadership role in the Caribbean region, is the future for our entire region, for everyone. So how well you guys are and how independent you are will have a massive bearing on everyone else's freedom. And so it's really important what's happening with you guys. And I think it's going to turn out right. That's why I come on every night.
Thank you so much. And you've been talking about this for a while now too. But back to Marco Rubio, the Spanish speaking, he said, "Oh, le habla mucho español, buenas noches, mi amigos, mi amigas." And he so loved the people of Guyana that he wants to kiss them. He looked at them, he probably said, Dana beso. And he's in Suriname. As soon as he reached Suriname, what is so funny to me, but typical of Marco, and for those who have been following Marco Rubio for so many years, it's typical of Marco, just appeared to have praised the PPP regime, got into Suriname, and he was so happy that he got the hell out of Guyana because of the roads and the infrastructure and the corruption. Marco Rubio knows about the corruption. He knows more about those corrupt vagabonds in the PPP regime. Let's get back to Marco Rubio, minutes after touching down in Suriname, started to speak about Guyana in not so much of a good fashion.
Bad job, a terrible job. I just came from Guyana where we had to drive on a road the Chinese built. You were on the trip with us?
Yeah.
Or did you have to go on this road?
Yeah.
Okay, we almost all had concussions because the plane, the road was so bad. It was terrible. They paid these people to build this road, and then they bring their workers. They bring their workers. They don't hire you. They bring their workers in to do all the work. And then, or they want you to borrow a bunch of money and then they hold it over your head. So what I want is for countries to have an alternative to that. What we want is for countries to have an alternative to that. If you're going to build a road, I want you to have a real road. They were better off with the dirt road than the road we were just on. And it's not the fault of the current administration. In Guyana, that was a road that was built before, but they did a terrible job. If you did that job in America, someone would sue you for a
No. You see, Marco Rubio realized what he did there. And that road that he drove on was built by these corrupt guys that he's supporting. It wasn't built by the previous administration. Come on, Marco Rubio. Come on. If you need facts, we will give you facts. Come on, Marco. You can do better. But Tom, his slip was showing there. He realized what he was doing and then tried to put the blame on the previous government, but not realizing that it's the corrupt PPP regime that's responsible for the very road or so-called road that he drove on today. What happened there?
He knows what's going on there, man, but it doesn't matter because the story is that the Chinese built the road, okay? And it was built in the last administration under Granger. That's who did it, and that's who's to blame. And now the PPP guys along the Rubio are here to save the day. That's the story, man, and that's just it. And unfortunately, there isn't a media out there to push back on this. Most people don't understand what's happening in Guyana or in the region. And so he can say whatever he wants. And that's going to be the storyline now going forward.
We almost got blackout. And I'm sure that Marco Rubio probably experienced 1 or 2 blackouts there. And he shouldn't blame it on the previous administration. Stop it, Marco. Don't go that route, Marco. Don't go that route. Okay? Don't go that PPP route, Marco, because under the coalition government, they had good roads. And that road that you drove on today was built by Pacus. And Marco, if you're watching, you might turn to somebody and say, what the heck is Pacus now, right? Pacus mean dummies under the PPP regime. This so-called Heroes Highway, everything is falling apart. Compliments of the PPP regime. Of course, they give the contracts to their cronies in the PPP, friends, family, and favorites. And of course, they bought the materials, Chinese material. But you know what I mean? Tom, Marco wasn't being honest here at all. He tried to blame the previous administration. Come on, Marco, don't let your slip show like that. Don't. The people are upset. The people want the PPP regime to go, Marco. The PPP regime is not a friend of America. They're enemies of America, Marco. And only a matter of time before you get that message. Listen to what the people are saying about the PPP regime.
Yeah, my name is Jacinti Caldata from Vietnam. And since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by 1 vote, they're losing it by data.
And Marco Rubio, did you hear what Data, Auntie Data, who said all of her adult life she voted for the PPP. And she said she's no longer voting for the PPP, Marco. Marco Rubio, we've got to talk. Or maybe the opposition got to talk to Marco and his folks them, because they're obviously not getting the right message, and whatever it is, they're turning a blind eye on reality in Guyana. And just to have Marco Rubio know that people are punishing in Guyana every single day. Hear it for yourself.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
In other words, what she's saying there, Marco Rubio, the Senate U.S. Secretary of State, is that they're not happy with the corrupt PPP regime. I'm sure Marco Rubio heard of the cocaine, 6.3 tons of cocaine, Marco Rubio, under the PPP regime. So when you look at Maduro as an enemy of the US, and rightly so, Jack Dio and the PPP and Irfan Ali, they're enemies of America. Do not trust them, Marco Rubio. Do not trust them at all. Take a listen to what even areas that supported the PPP regime. Take a listen to what they're saying. Somebody interpret it for Marco Rubio, please. So Marco Rubio, what they're saying is that nobody cares about them in that area. Nobody visits them. The PPP regime, Irfan and Jagdev, they don't care about them. All the people they care about was basically hanging and liming and enjoying life with the Mohammeds. Oh yes, the same people, the same sanctioned people and so forth. They were good buddies. They were friends. They were all in bed together. The Mohammeds gave Irfan Ali vehicles upon vehicles and gave him security and all manner of things. Marco Rubio, please wake up. The PPP regime, Irfan Ali and Jack Deere, they're enemies of America. Tom, in case we miss something and you want to get that point across, go right ahead, sir.
Well, I think the main thing is you shouldn't pay attention to what Rubio has to say, really, okay? Because it's his job to make a certain story happen. And, whatever that story is whatever that story is. He doesn't actually believe it. He knows it's much more complicated than anyone realizes. And so he's just publicly stating what the official administration position is. And that's the story he's going by. And that's just it. Now, if it doesn't make any sense, if there's inconsistencies, if there's all types of stuff happening, it doesn't matter. Okay. He's just going to go by the storyline. And that's it. And that's the storyline he's been giving. And that's what he's working with. And so that's it on that. Now, one thing I did notice and I did hear was that we, in our agreement that we signed, we're going to provide some type of medical workers to Guyana. So that's interesting. When I heard that, I go, okay. So it looks like we're going to be having Americans sent down to do medical work there in the country. And what's funny about that is they'll be doing medical work inside of facilities that the Chinese built. So so that's interesting. And I just think, look, today was a big day. I think it's another step in the right direction for the people of Guyana. I understand that Rubio gets some things wrong. I understand that things seem, not to be on the up and up on some certain things. And yeah, you can't really trust the PPP. That's fine. But overall, today was a good day. I think it was a step in the right direction. And I think that, the people have to continue to hold the feet to the fire of the PPP to make sure that these guys are making real structural change so that the country can benefit as a whole. And they can finally get rid of this corruption system that's been put in place now for generations. That's the main thing. And so that's a lot easier said than done, right? And it starts with the people, and it ends with the people. So that's why I make that argument almost every night I come on, because that's what is needed. And I do believe that at the end of the day, even though the PPP, they can't change what they've done in the past, and it's going to be hard for them to change going forward, it is important that both parties, that all parties within that fight over leading the country, that they all are at the best of their abilities, and they all are in a position where they're improving and doing better party-wise, because that only strengthens Guyana as a country. And so, hopefully that happens. That's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm rooting for.
Tom for president, indeed. Tom Anderson for president. Thank you so much, Tom. I noticed and you said that American doctors and so forth will be going to Guyana. It's a good thing as well. I hope some folks can go there, psychiatrists can deal with some mental health issues, not just for those in the PPP or some of them, and most of them on the PPP side of in Parliament. We see one such person might need that help too. Roy Ramsaran, They're always, Bornham died since 1985. Bornham died, and these folks go to bed with Bornham every day on their mind. This guy, this Paku, and one of these days, you know what Paku is, right, Tom?
I know it's something bad.
Paku is kind of like a moron, right? This Paku, right? It's a Paku fish, a big head, and a Paku, right? So this Paku here is talking about something that didn't make sense. Here what, and I'm exposing this Paku, and maybe that's why Guyana is where it is, because of Pakus. So this Paku says, Bornham ban flour, you should God that, oh gosh, God in heaven knows we need some English teachers from America to go there too. We have some good ones in Guyana too. But this Paku is saying Bornham ban flour. Can't even spell flour. Look how we spell flour. Oh, F-L-O-W-R, flour. You should God that you getting to eat bread under the PNC. You bread, you get 6 months in jail. If you don't like the PPP, give PPP back the 100,000, I don't know, the 100,000 cash grant doesn't belong to the PPP. Bornham didn't ban flour. It was restricted, and Chetty Jagan shook hands with Bornham, and they agreed to that. So if you blame Bornham for that, blame Chetty for that. If you're going to talk about split peas and all, y'all, I don't know, y'all don't get tired. If there's this stupid song you're going to be playing, we might as well join my friend Terry Gatraj. And Terry is a good friend of mine, but and let's go. If you want to sing stupid song, let's sing something that makes sense as we prepare to close off tonight's program. But I want to ask you a question about Melly Mel as she prepares to go to court tomorrow, Tom. Before we go, let's play this song for Roy Ramsaran because of his stupidity.
We're going to put Mr. Nala on the spot, right? Because we know there is one proper law. And this thing named routine, right? What kind of roti is it? Paratha. Anybody like that roti? Really? How about aloo roti?
Very good.
So here, when we don't eat aloo roti, sada roti, aloo roti, klapan roti, paratha roti, guess what happens? What? You ever hear what sugar roti?
Yes.
That's the danger. You gotta make our from sugar, right? So, I'm gonna get up this roti.
Yes, there we go.
Alright, make a start and you take them over. 1, 2, 3. Mommy bele roti.
Daddy chunky-da.
Hey, mommy bele roti.
Daddy chunky-da.
Hey, mommy bele roti. Daddy
Chunky-da. Didi take come out the body eat out. Mommy bele roti. Daddy chunky-da. Mommy bele roti.
Tom, when you get off, Google that song, Terry Gadraj, a good guy. You know what they're singing there, Tom?
No.
Well, they're in the kitchen and they say, Mommy, bele roti and chunky dal. Mommy, bele roti. So when you go out, turn to your kids and say, Mommy, bele roti, Daddy, chunky dal. Speaking of roti and bele roti and thing, let me show you how they do it. They don't bale it now. They put it in a little bowl and they shake it. This is how they do roti these days.
Because we're excited to see you here. We're coming. Hold on. You got the roti? You got to be kidding me. You got the roti, you know what? You see, you used to make roti when he was 5. But let me see if he could clap. You got shake now. You got
Tom, is a roti night. Sorry about that. A serious program. Marco Rubio probably clap little roti, chunky dal, and then the road make all pitch out belly. Because about the roads. Tom, Melly Mel goes to court tomorrow. Your take, please, as we prepare to welcome her back out in society. Your take, sir.
Yeah, no, I hope this is a lesson learned for everyone involved, that on our side and the side down in Georgetown, that you trying to do the political stuff and using government agencies to do it in the middle of what's turning into like international incidents, happening with Maduro next door. It's just not a good idea. Like, at some point they have to put away whatever political shenanigans they're trying to pull, right? And they need to just stick to getting the job done. Okay, now I'm sure they're trying to connect her to the Mohammeds, and they're trying to claim that, you know, she has to go with the Mohammeds so that they can forge a path forward that's free of corruption. But it's not the Mohammeds who created corruption in Guyana, okay? And it's not the Mohammeds who have designed the system and who have held the system in place of corruption that's happening there. That's happening by the people who are leading it now. They're the ones who are allowing this system of corruption to stay in place. They're allowing it to grow. They're allowing it to do all types of stuff. Okay. And so they're the ones who need to take responsibility. They don't need to be pointing the fingers to people like Melly Mel. No. They need to look at themselves, look in the mirror themselves, and deal with the real people that are really corrupt there. And finally, once and for all, like really deal a real blow to corruption in the country so they can turn the corner and become, one of the leaders in the region, because that's what we need. We need Guyana to be a leader in the region. And the only way that happens is if the PPP cleans up their own house. And it's not enough to go after the Mohammeds and then point the finger at Melly Mel and try to blame them for everything. No, they need to go to the real culprits. And those people, many people in country know who they are, right? But they need to go to those guys and deal with those guys. Retire them, jail them, do whatever they need to do. But that has to happen for Guyana to move forward. And I hope that tomorrow Melly Mel walks free, because this is a stain on the history of the relationship between our two nations, and it should be put away, and she should be allowed to go free on this.
Well said. Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it. We can be back tomorrow, and hopefully we will get that opportunity to say hi to Melly Mel right here on 107.1 FM. Freedom is a must. Freedom is a must indeed. Thank you so much, Tom. I know you're happy to see that the Chinese are upset. And here is what's going to happen. Tomorrow, the Chinese ambassador would summon the Guyana Foreign Affairs Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs here in Guyana, for a meeting. And we will see some photographs on that for an explanation. And then Jack Dieu and all of them will try to do damage control privately, secretly, to assure the Chinese that, they're just trying to, sweet talk or make it appear this way to Marco Rubio. That's why we're saying that Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, has got to be careful with the PPP regime. They are anti-American, Marco. The PPP is anti-American. Irfan Ali is anti-American. Very anti-American. Jack Dieu is anti-American. Do not fall for their sweet talk. Do not fall for their bluff. There was something else that I wanted to ask before we go, but it appears as though that we've got to go, Tom. But thank you as always. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see how it plays out with the Chinese and the corrupt PPP regime. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Take care.
And to all of you, we'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. And if you can just speak it into reality, freedom for Melly Mel as she prepares to walk through the prison gates tomorrow. We're all optimistic about that. Freedom is a must, regardless of her views, regardless of her approach. Sometimes we don't necessarily agree with everything. But what I do agree with her is exposing the corruption in the PPP regime. Corruption in the PPP regime. Lots and lots of corruption. And so we want to wish her well tomorrow as she appears in court. And we wish her freedom. So she will be out tomorrow. God bless you all. See you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Right here on 107 not Filter FM. I don't know. Sometimes forgive me, guys. I was looking at this photo and I'm like, Filter FM, 107.1 Filter FM. There's no filter. This PPP thug slapped a guy and the guy decided to defend himself, right? No violence, but I do believe that things will get out of hand. And the PPP is they're pushing that button. It has got to stop. When PPP thugs believe that they are powerful, it has got to stop. No filter. Anyways, we'll leave on a lighter note. Guyana deserves a little light note. So we'll leave with Terry Gadraj again. God bless you all.
We're going to put Mr. Nala on the spot, right? Because we know there is one PPP proper law. And this thing named routine, right? What kind of roti is it?
Paratha.
Paratha. Anybody like that roti? How about aloo roti?
Very good.
So here, when we don't eat aloo roti, sada roti, aloo roti, klavan roti, paratha roti, guess what happens? What? You ever hear what sugar roti?
Yes.
That's the danger. You gotta make our drum sugar, right?
Right.
So, I'm gonna get up this.
Yes, there we go.
Alright, make a start and you take them over. 1, 2, 3. Mommy bele roti.
Daddy chunky da.
Hey, mommy bele roti.
Daddy chunky da.
Hey, mommy bele roti. Daddy
Chunky da. Didi take come out the body eat out da. Mommy bele roti. Daddy chunky da. Mommy bele roti. Daddy chunky da.
Give me the speech, right? Chorus in the sea, tambourine from the tree. Chorus in the sea, tambourine from the tree. One day they gon' meet up in the same Karahi.
Mommy bele roti, daddy chunky da. Mommy bele roti, daddy chunky da.
God bless you. You see, me know you love roti and I put him on the spot and he can work. But that's what I love with you guys, man. Reaching out to the people, coming out to the country.
No, that's why we are involved.